Good evening or good afternoon. My name is David Rhodes, and I'm here with my wife, Nicole Rhodes. It's evening time here on the East Coast, about 9:30 our time. But we want to share with you this evening some flip strategies, just some basic one-on-one as far as flipping homes in today's market. Today's market, in our markets, we are currently in the Tampa Bay market and Huntsville, Alabama market. And in the Tampa Bay market, the market's moving fast right now, so we have to really be on top of our flips to make sure that we can get the most out of each flip we're doing. I think currently right now we have 3 flips in this market going, and on the hunt for some more. But today we're going to talk about just 3 metrics of buying and flipping homes: the purchase, the repair part or the rehab, and then the matrix of the deal. When the purchasing part is probably in my opinion, the most important part and of the whole deal. Because if you don't buy the property right, then it's going to be hard for you to make the money that you anticipate making. So first of all, before you start flipping homes in any market, you got to know that market. You got to know what areas are hot and what areas are not. So my first suggestion would be get out before you flip your first home, know the market, and know where you're going to be flipping. The basics to figuring out your purchase price on a property is running comps. And comps sometimes sound simple, but if you make a few mistakes on running comps, you can hurt yourself on the purchasing of the property. We've learned that purchasing properties, there's a few things you got to pay really, really close attention to if you when you're running your ARV to determine the value of the property when you're going to sell it. The first thing that you need to make sure is this the same type of property that you're running comps against. So if you're flipping a ranch, you can't be running comps against a Tudor or a split level or a contemporary style home. You have to be running comps against a ranch. So always look at same types of properties. And it's also important that you're looking at properties that are built somewhere around the same year. If not, if it's an older home in the same decade, but you want to get closest to your comp should be as closest to the year property is your property. Same bedrooms and baths. Or that's just key. If you got a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house you're flipping, then you need to find comps on 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, not on 4 twos or 3 twos. You need to try to use the most accurate comps you can. Here's one that got us in trouble just here recently. We were looking at a property, and our square footage on this home was 1,500. And I was on the road and I had an opportunity to pick this property up from a bird dog. I had Nicole run the comps on the property real quick. We looked at it, we put it on the contract, and we put on the contract based on the comps. But when we looked at deeper on this house, we saw that the homes in that neighborhood were 800 to 1,000 square feet. And our home was 1,500 square feet. So we were doing a square foot price. And it turns out that we got one of the biggest homes in the neighborhood, so we can't sell that house. We thought it was a home run. We paid $115 for it. We were going to sell it for $200,000. We're like, man, this is a slam dunk. And it turned out to be still a good deal for us, but we're going to sell it for $185, just based on the difference in square footage. So it's really important when you're comping out a property, be within 20% of the square footage on whatever comp you're using. So if you got a 1,000 square foot house you're flipping, you should be looking at 800, 1,200 square foot homes. Be in that 20% range. So don't think you can flip a 2,000 square foot home for the same square foot price as a 1,000 square foot home. It's been our experience that the lower square foot homes sell for a higher square foot price. So typically 800 to 1,000 square foot home is going to sell for a higher square foot price than a 1,500 to a 2,000 square foot home. So if you're not careful with that, you get yourself in trouble. That we got lucky with that. It was such a good deal that we're still going to make good money on that property, not make as much as we thought we would. When you're when you're looking at properties, especially in a fast-moving market like today's markets are, and most markets are throughout the United States, you need to make sure that you're looking at homes that are in home buyer areas, not in renters. So there's neighborhoods that have renters in it, and then there's neighborhoods that have homeowners in it. You want to be flipping in neighborhoods that have homeowners. And it's very easy to do when you ride a neighborhood, check it out. You can tell pretty quick if it's a renter neighborhood or if it's a homeowner neighborhood by just the way the yards and everything are taken care of. Nothing else, get out and start asking around, talking, but you want to be flipping in neighborhoods that are homeowners, especially in today's market because the market's moving quick. Another good thing to look for when you determine how long you'll be holding the property is how long properties are staying days on market on the MLS. How long is it taking properties to sell? So that's always should be calculated. And when you're figuring your ARV and you're trying to figure out what you're going to be doing in your rehab, you should be looking at the pictures of the house that you're comparing it against. So if you got a house that you're looking at and it's a really good comp, but that house is completely remodeled, new windows, a new kitchen with granite countertops, both bathrooms have been remodeled. There's hardwood floors in the house. It's top notch. It's the top notch rehab. Then you got to figure the house that you're picking up to get those kind of comps. You got to do the same thing. So a few things that we look at when we're looking at pictures is it granite or has the kitchen been remodeled? Have the bathrooms been remodeled? Is it hardwood, laminate, or carpet throughout the house? Is it tile or vinyl in the kitchen and the bathrooms? Are the new windows in the house? Is it a new roof in the house? What do the appliances look like? Are they stainless steel appliances, black appliances, white appliances? And what kind of condition is the HVAC in? You can get all those when you're running comps on properties. It's normally in the listing. But by looking at the pictures and looking at listing, you could tell pretty quick what kind of rehab you're going to have to do to get the comps, to get the square footage price or the comps at the house you're looking at. So just keep that in mind. So now that's basically when you're looking at a property to purchase, to make sure you get it at the right price, some things you can look for and look at to make sure you're getting the best price possible. Now we're going to get into the rehab cost. Now, the rehab cost can be tricky if you haven't flipped a house before. So the first thing, if you haven't flipped a house before and you start figuring rehab costs and you don't have experience with construction, you can easily underestimate a job. I have friends who flip houses and don't make a dime. And the reason they're not making any money because they always underestimate the rehab cost. $15,000 sounds like a lot of money, but it's really not a lot of money when it comes to rehabbing a property. I don't care what market you're in. We flip in Huntsville, Alabama, which is a little market. We get labor cheaper there, and we flip in Tampa Bay, Florida. We flip in both markets. $15,000 don't go a long ways. So that's the first thing you do. So if you're not used to figuring bids, you got to get your contractors on the job. You need to get them in there and give you a fixed bid, not labor and materials. Give you a fixed bid, and you should get at least 3 estimates so you can figure out exactly how much it's going to cost. Now you could use one contractor to do the whole job, or you could use different contractors to do the whole job. But what's important is to get at least 3 bids so you don't underestimate the rehab. And then once you got those bids together, add 10%. Minimum, put 10% on it, because you always can run into things during a rehab that you can't expect, that you won't expect. We recently picked up a house on auction, and I thought I was going to put a little bit of money in it, and I ended up going to put a lot of money in it. But that's one of those houses that you buy and you don't walk in, but it's okay. We're going to still do okay on it. But one of the things that I didn't anticipate in this house that we have to do is a bunch of things. But one of the things that I ran into was a beehive. And I called a gentleman to come remove this beehive for me. And I asked him, how much would you charge me to come take this beehive out? I had roofers on the roof, then you get it out there. He said, $450 to $500. And my comment to him was, that's a lot of money to come remove a beehive. He said, well, if I get over there and I see it's going to be an easier job, then I'll charge you less money. Well, he said he's going to go on over there. I go up to the property and I get up there, and the gentleman's on the ladder, and he got bees swarming all around him. He's got one of those head vests on, one of those beehive things on, and bees were just tearing him up. And I stood back and I said, where do you want me to write that check to? Because $500 was worth every dime of it. But that's an expense that I didn't see coming. That's just one example. And when you get into rehabbing property, especially older properties, there'll be expenses that you will not be won't anticipate. So you should, at least 10%. On older properties, I maybe do 15 to 20%. Another one thing I see a lot of people getting in trouble with is trying to do rehabs themselves. When people say they're going to buy a property and rehab it themselves, and they don't have experience in rehabbing a property, they underestimate the time, they underestimate the material, they underestimate a lot of other things. But the biggest thing is time, material, and I see a lot of people walking away from rehabs because they try to do them themselves. So if you've never flipped a property and you don't have any experience in construction, I'm talking about real experience in construction. I mean real experience, not just painting a house every now and then, but real experience. Done this for a living and done it for a long time. Hire somebody else to do it. Just put the numbers in, put the bid in, and just figure the numbers. If you get the property, you get it. If you don't, move on to the next one. Hire a professional to do, and I say a professional to do your rehab. It's gonna be a lot less headaches. Don't depend on family and friends to help me. Hire a professional. Off the lease. I'm reading some stuff here, made some notes here. Okay, focus on your deal. So, and if you're not doing the rehabs yourself, like I don't do rehabs myself, I find the properties, I get the rehabs going, I got professionals doing the job. I'm looking for my next deal so I can keep everything moving. But I want to just give you an example, and you might want to write down some of these numbers. Grab a pen, paper, and write down some of these numbers, how quick you can underestimate a job, and you can see at the end. And the example that I got is we're going to purchase a house for $100,000, and we're going to sell it for $155,000. We're going to do this all in 6 months, and it's only going to be a $20,000 rehab. So at the surface, I have 120 in it, and myself 155. But it don't quite work out that way. So let me break down the real numbers so you can see how a rehab how it really runs. So first of all, if you buy it for $100,000, your first closing costs are going to be 1.5 to 3%. So you're already in it to 103,000 there. Then your rehab expense, we said 20,000, and it's probably going to be more than that if you hadn't done it a few times. It's probably going to be a little bit more than 20,000. But we're just going to say 20,000. But a lot of people forget the next couple of things. Utility costs. If you're holding a property for 6 months, it's going to be $1,800 to $2,000 in utility cost property. So you could figure $1,800 right there on utility costs. Write that down. Property taxes. If you hold the property 6 months, you're responsible for paying the property taxes on it when you sell the property. I just did an estimate in our area. That would be $1,200. It's got to come off the bill. Another expense is if you're not using your own money, you're using somebody else's money, you're paying them to use that money. That's an expense you got to figure in there. So I just use an example of hard money on a deal like this, $6,000, and there's no points in, points out. That's just 12% hard money. So 6 months, that's $6,000. So we bought it for $100. We got the closing costs, rehab costs, utility costs, hard money costs. We're up to $134,000. Oh, that's not bad. $134,000. We'll sell it for $155,000. There's still some meat on the bone there, right? We can do it in 6 months. That's great. Oh, but when we resell the property for $155,000, you have closing costs on that on the other side. Now, if you're selling for top dollar in any market, you're putting it on the MLS. If you're putting it on the MLS, when you close, you're going to be a minimum of 8 to 9, 10% when you close it. So I just figured 9%. That's another $12,150. So now we bought it for 100. We're selling for 155, minus the 12,150 and minus the 134,000. We did a project. It took us 6 months to do it, and we made $8,850. At the surface, when you bought a property for 100, you're gonna put 20 in it. I got 120. I'm gonna sell it for 155. It sounds like you're gonna make 35,000, 30,000. But in reality, you're gonna make $8,850. Now that's not bad if you're running a good business and you got 6 of those projects going at one time. And you can do that 6 times over, then you're doing fine. But if you're doing one house in 6 months, you make $8,000. You're not gonna be in the flip business that long. So the point of that illustration is you got to know the numbers on your flips. You got to know them. You got to know them inside and out so that you don't get yourself hurt. One mistake and you're digging in your pocket to get out of that deal. One mistake. So now you bought the property, you scoped out the repairs, it's go time. This is where the metrics to the deal come together. This is crucial to a rehab. I see so many times people buying a rehab before they've done any type of planning, done anything, they just go out there and go to work. And before you know it, they're spinning their wheels. And they're 3 to 4 weeks into the project, and it's supposed to be finished in 2 weeks, and they still got 4 or 5 weeks to go because they did not plan. So number one, you gotta sit down and plan out your rehab from start to finish. Now, if you're not experienced with that, how to schedule a rehab, then that's when you have to bring your contract in that you're working in so you can get on the same page and you can sit down and have a planning meeting and schedule that rehab out. So everybody knows what's going on. Now we do it, we sit down, we schedule a meeting out, and then we put it on a calendar. And that calendar is on it. The contractor gets the calendar. Your project manager gets the calendar. I have a calendar. Nicole has a calendar. We all got a calendar. We know where the job's supposed to be. And the contractor is paid on a performance contract. Now that's another crucial thing when it comes to run a successful rehab for me is a performance contract. I learned that from one of my mentors some years ago, and it's crucial. I've tried it without a performance contract, and I tried it with a performance contract. And believe me, it works a lot better with a performance contract because a performance contract simply sets deadlines for the contractor to understand where they need to be at any given day to get paid. So if it's a 6-week job, then you have designated points where things need to be done in order for the contractor to get paid. And if everybody's on the same page, then everybody understands that. Now, if the contractor wants to do other things than what's scheduled for that week, and he wants to get ahead and get something done for the following week, that's fine. No problem. As long as he gets what's done that week in the schedule, it's still got to be people that can get paid. So once you have your schedule, you got it down, then you have your Monday meeting with your contractor, and you check on them on midweek, and then on Friday you should be checking to see if they get paid. It's every Friday, every other Friday, but you want to be in touch with that contract. You want to be walking that job, making sure that things that list out everything that needs to be done. It's easy to walk into a house and see that the tiling should be done, the painting's done this week, the molding's up, whatever it is, it's on the calendar. You can see it. You and the contractor can talk about it, and you say you need to be here by Friday in order to get paid. So so you check in on the work regularly. I lean up here because I got to get a few notes here. Go work on the performance contract. You got to know your numbers. You got to figure out. This is again, we talked about this earlier. The biggest mistake that I see people making who flipping properties, and I got a friend right now who's flipping a property. If you don't watch this, he's not gonna make any money on it. He's gonna flip a property and not make any money. You got to figure out your holding costs. You got to know your taxes, your insurance. And earlier in the other call, I didn't have any insurance costs in that. That's right, insurance costs. That's another one. Insurance costs. See, I do this all the time, and I can miss stuff. Fortunately, I got Nicole that keeps me straight. Estimate your utilities, your time is going to take to get the job in, and you should be getting paid for your time. So it's got to be figured into the job also. Any hard money costs, and if you're not using hard money costs, yeah, your money's, if you're putting all your money out there, it should be making some interest anyway. So if you're doing a flip with somebody else and you're putting all the money up, your money should be making you some money. So that should just be figured in the deal. Here's another thing, that if you sit down and you do a planning meeting, you figure out all your costs. Then you can figure out how much that money is going to cost you daily, weekly, and throughout the time of the project. If you do this up front, then everybody can see that every day that you don't come in on time, how much it's going to cost you. You put those actual numbers in a spreadsheet, people can read them, they can see them, it means something to them. You know, it's like, you know, if this project didn't come in on time, it's going to cost us an additional $100 a day. We can't afford to reach in our pockets and pull $100 a day out. You would want somebody doing that to you, so let's get this thing done so we can move on. Also, on the performance contract, you can reward your contractor for finishing on time or before time by giving them a bonus, giving them an incentive to get it done. But the sooner we get it done and get it up on MLS, the better we are. And the final thing we want to talk about in flips tonight is once your project is done and it's ready to go, then it's got to present well. And if you got the most beautiful house and you don't have good curb appeal, then you're probably not going to sell the house as fast as you should. So your curb appeal is really important, and the pictures that you present. So hire a professional to go out and take your pictures. You can find a professional on Craigslist, you can find them online. They're not that much money. You know, if you're selling a house, then you can afford to do $75 to $150 to get a professional in to take those pictures to make that house look top notch so you can get it sold. So present the finished product is important to get top dollar. So I think that wraps it up tonight. I don't see if anybody has any questions. You can ask them. If not, then I'd say go out, find some properties, run your numbers, make sure you got all the numbers correct, and get your plan together, get your project finished, take beautiful pictures, make sure you got good curb appeal, and make all the money you can. This is a hot market right now in real estate. It's a fast market in real estate. The only thing else I'd say is just be aware of where your market is and where it's trending. Pay attention to days on market, so you know that you don't get caught holding a property when the market starts to drop. So get it done as fast as possible and get it sold. That's it for this evening. Y'all have a good night, and I hope this helps you with your flips.